City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero! Special beyond special.
Best player in the Premier League.
Captain Marvel. Drogba! Rooney! Oh, wonderful! That is one Derby diamond.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's match day.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Clash of Clubs. This is episode 17, the second of the week. That's pretty impressive from Mila, Grant, and myself. We have a special guest today, an Arsenal fan. Facundo, welcome back to the pod.
Guys.
In today's episode, we're going to run through the match week, which included Arsenal beating United 2-0, Liverpool dropping points late against Newcastle, Chelsea smashing Southampton 5-1. City finally getting back on track with a 3-0 win at home. And then finally in the episode, we will go over our Premier League underperformers so far. Alrighty, I think we should obviously start with United and Arsenal. You want to take us away, Facundo?
Am I starting? Oh.
Yeah, you start because you're the Arsenal fan.
Got it. First half was not entertaining at all. I thought United at the start of the game didn't really press, and then they kind of found their rhythm pressing. Did a pretty good job. I just thought we were also pretty sloppy in the first half in terms of just not being really sharp. Mid blocks always usually give us a lot of trouble. When we played Sporting last year and then in the Europa League the year before, they've given us some trouble just because it clogs up the middle. Second half, we came out with a little bit of a better intensity. We're able to find kind of those passes. And then really the difference in the game was set pieces. 12 corners. We're going to score at least one from 12, if not more, like we did. But yeah, not really dominating in terms of creating chances from open play, but I thought we did a lot in terms of just dominating in terms of where the game was played, which was mostly in United's half in the second half. We're able to kind of pin them back, win the corners, helped us get 2 goals, and then United didn't really offer anything going forward. So outside of that one Delict header, and then maybe that one chance, I forget who had it, towards the end of the game, United really didn't do much. So yeah.
No.
So overall, I mean, what is it, 4 games in 10 days? We're going to start playing 3 games every week, it seems like. So just good to get a W against a rival.
Yeah, that's a pretty good summary of the match. 2 teams clearly in different parts of their paths, right? You got a championship contender versus a team that sacked their manager mid-season, right? The king of set pieces. This maybe the most dominant set piece team that I can remember.
Stoke City, everybody seems to mention.
Hey man, if Stoke City was,
it's if Stoke City's players went to college, to uni, that would be Arsenal.
Yeah. I guess I'll touch on United here. I thought that Almirón set them up well. I thought that it looked like a team that's still rotating every game, and it looks like a manager that's trying to figure out who can even play. He gave some guys some chances. He gave some players some rest, which I'm not sure if Ahmad should have been given rest, but even when he came on, he didn't look that great. I think he was looking to try to get a result, and I don't know. It's interesting. United look like they are ready to play in the system from a defensive standpoint and in the midfield, but that forward 3 looks like it's not there. And the question of how long does that take, and is it even possible with the guys that are currently there? I'm not sure. You can't. It's kind of been the story of United's season in terms of not scoring goals. But look, they beat Everton 4-0, and then they can barely scrape a chance, and the only real chance in the game that they had was from their center back. So disappointing in that sense, toothless, which is something I've brought up multiple times with United. The structure and the future looks bright, but at the end of the day, it's a 2-0 loss to a rival, and that's disappointing, and it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Do you guys want to touch on the game at all?
Sure,
Yeah.
Grant wants to go over Garnacho's performance.
Nah, I'm not even going to go that
No.
crazy. I mean, in simple terms, like Dylan put it, the attacking three is the issue or problem that needs to be solved. But clearly, I think to Dylan's point, like he clearly knows how he wants to set up, and you can see the structure, which is something that we talked about with Ten Hag late in his tenure. It's like, what are we doing? What's the setup? What's the style? You can clearly tell what he wants to do. And also to Dylan's point, they're rotating every game. Not everyone's just up to fitness to be able to play in this system effectively. So I think that's the positive to take, and it's going to be rough. You're going to get rough patches this year because he's trying to figure out who can play in this team. I think to really start judging this project, if we want to call it that, or rebuild, which the team definitely needed at some point, then I think we can really start judging it, honestly, at the start of next season, because that's when we're going to know who's in the system, who's going to work, who's got to go, bring in a few players that are obviously the coach will want, and then go from there. But I think there are lots of positives to go away and take through, because you still need to get results throughout the year. You can't just not win games, but it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough, but I do think he's the right guy. I think he's the right guy for him based off what I've seen.
Yeah, I hope so.
Something to get
I hope
behind.
so.
I mean,
But I like the way he handles the media.
he's been honest. He's been saying it's going to get worse before it gets better, which I agree. I don't know. I thought you could see that you guys want to press and he wants you guys to press, and that's really the identity of his teams, is to get after you, make it difficult, create some turnovers, and then just get forward quickly and create a chance off of that. I thought a lot of the difficulties came when your wing backs or your center backs don't press past the halfway line. They just kind of stay there because they're kind of stuck in between the Ten Hag system where they don't really press. That's why there's that big gap in the middle of midfield. And now this coach is asking them to do that. They're just not entirely comfortable stepping into that space because they think they're going to get beaten behind. So their structure is there. I think you guys have talked about it before on the podcast. Grant's called it like a young man system. You just really need legs, and you need defenders that are like forward thinking in terms of being aggressive, following the man into that space in midfield so that you don't give them anything. And then if you can't win the ball back when you're pressing, at least make them go long, win that, and then you have the possession of the ball. But it's just really tough because there's really no outlets going forward, even with Højlund.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to your point, and you're probably out of the two other guys here. Ugarte looked like United's best outfield player. That wasn't Onana, of course. Right, the guy that fits the system the best looked the best in the system in a game where United didn't have a bunch of control. It's the only thing that I kind of got that was positive is in a game like this in recent years and under Ten Hag, and even looking back further when it comes to possession-based teams, United have never been in the possession battle. But for large stretches, especially in the first half, they were able to kind of muck up the game and control 5-10 minute portions instead of it just being like, all right, we're only going to have 4 chances. It's all going to be on the counter. We're going to hold 40%. Like they held more possession in this. You don't get a possession Ballon d'Or, but like it's something to take as a building block, right?
Yeah. I also think we were a little bit sloppy on the ball, which led to you guys being able to have some of it. But again, it goes to you really did try to press us, which United teams in the past have been a little hesitant to do. So it worked.
What really separated the side was that halftime, because once obviously Arteta got them in at the halftime break, it was like, all right, we got to up the intensity, the tempo. Let's go get the win. We're challenging here, and then they immediately go and score 2 set plays. That's the difference between the two sides is you guys were able to get to that next level, and United are still stuck on the ground floor. I do have a couple stats because I'm ready to switch away from United here. Arsenal have 28 goals in the league this season. 7 of them are coming off of set pieces. That's 20. I think it's 25%. Yeah, 25% of all the goals coming from set pieces is a crazy stat for any Big Six team, and I'm curious because everyone is kind of okay with the Stoke identity thing right now, right? Like that's the trend. But I'm curious, do you think that that's sustainable?
Address the allegation.
Sustainable.
Like for the entire season. Maybe not like looking forward years in advance, but like for this season, do you think that's enough to get you guys to whatever success is?
I want to say since the start of last year, it's been 22 goals from set pieces or something like that. I don't know if it's sustainable. I think the way we're doing it just leads to advantages with a guy like Gabriel. I think, and this is something I've heard Mikel talk about before, is that he learns a lot from other sports. So I don't know what it is, if it's like an inbounds play in basketball or if it's some sort of just like you're misdirecting everyone like you would in football and then someone runs in behind and it's Gabriel for a header. So I think they've learned things from other sports that they're trying to implement. I don't know how sustainable it is. I think the structure that we have within it just leads to a lot of pressure. Something I've noticed this year is that we take a little bit longer before taking the corner kick. And I don't know if mentally it's just to like get in people's heads like, oh, Arsenal is the set piece team. Like here comes another one. And I don't know, when we're getting 12 corners a game, I'm just hoping one of them is going to go in. And at the end of the day, with how little we concede, that makes a difference. So in terms of if you're not scoring goals from open play, you can rely on set pieces to maybe create some difficulties or get a goal, and then you're not really conceding anything and you can win some games. So I don't know. I like the fact that we're trying to take advantage of every area, whether it's open play, set pieces, what we're doing defensively. It's just literally taking everything into account and trying to be as clinical in every area. So I don't know if it's sustainable, but I like that we're attempting to get everything that we can out of corners.
Proud.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a problem with being the best set piece team.
I don't think so either.
The relying upon those set pieces, it varies from game to game, obviously, because there's going to be teams that are better at defending them. So your threat might just be nullified in those games. So I think that's probably more so what the issue is when we're asking that question, is like, if you guys come up against a team, are you confident that if the nullified set pieces are a factor, are you confident that you can produce something in open play? In bigger games, obviously, because this, I feel like against the lower teams, obviously you guys are going to get it done. You have enough quality to do that.
I mean, I guess to phrase it how I think about it is like, if you guys go up against a Liverpool, is there enough on the table going forward to beat them? Because they're another team that's very good at set pieces, good at defending them. They've got Virgil and Konate, and they've got all these big athletes, right? That probably the only team in the Prem that can match up guy for guy. Let's just say it's we go into the match and it's both teams are even in that sense. Is there enough going forward with? I like to think of Arsenal without Saka and Odegaard, because I like to think about the rest of the guys. Can they create the margins in that situation?
Yeah. I mean, when you take out our two best players, it becomes a little bit more difficult, obviously. But I think that in our match against Liverpool this year at home, no Saliba, Ben White was playing center back, no Odegaard, had injuries in other places. And in that first half, we completely dominated them. And then we'd been playing, I don't know, games with 10 men, guys have been hurt. And then second half, it leads to a little bit of a collapse. So obviously you don't get that performance over 90 minutes, but for 45 minutes, we looked way better and dominated what's looked like the best team in the league so far this year. So yeah, I mean, this sounds crazy to say. I think the team it matters against the most is when we play City, just because our just matches seem to be like a chess battle where neither team really gives up much because tactically they want to limit you. So set pieces in a game like City this year, when we take the lead 2-1 off a corner kick, like that to me makes a difference. To Mila's point, against the big teams, when it is a little bit of a chess match, and we play those teams differently just because we don't want to concede anything. Like set pieces are an advantage there. But yeah, I don't know. I think Gabriel, Saliba, all of our guys, we're just a pretty athletic and big team. So I give us a chance against anybody.
I mean, that's what the transfers have been too. The incoming guys kind of to that build, if you will, like physically dominant. Yeah, it's interesting to see, but I mean, that's the best part. We'll see it soon enough. But I mean, they definitely looked better after Odegaard came in, which I know us two also, we despise Arsenal, but once you see him come back, once you see their best player back at the team, it's the missing piece, really, especially seeing him gone. His first game back against us, it was night and day. So I think give it a little bit more time, get back somewhat to where they were last year, if not all the way there. But I know, Facundo, you made the point before when we've talked about what kind of changed the way Arteta views it. So you want to go into that a little bit, I think, to get everything full circle.
Yeah, I think the major theme about us this year has been that we've been pretty pragmatic and just super defensive. And I always go back to this moment 2 years ago when we went into the Etihad and we needed to get a win, and we tried to play the way we typically played, and we got waxed off the park 4-1. So I think that moment really opened Mikel's eyes to, hey, right, we can be progressive in attack, but we've also got to do our jobs defensively and not give teams the ability to just, we're all out press, they're going to play through us, and then you're having De Bruyne play a ball to Haaland in behind, and that's just the end of the game. So I think that moment really changed the way that Mikel looks at it. And then last year, people were like, oh, it's a little bit more pragmatic. It is, but it's just a little bit more balanced in where we're doing enough on both ends to win games. It's just really this year, my biggest complaint was early in the year, we weren't putting the ball in the net. We were creating enough and doing enough to win games. We just weren't scoring goals. So it led to that narrative of like, hey, they're super pragmatic. And then Grant, I've always called Odegaard. He might not be the best player. You could probably consider Saka the best player, but he's definitely the heartbeat of this team, because when he's not in there, it's all super direct. And sometimes you just need someone to read the pace of the game and slow it down and kind of just create a bit more structure and calmness within the team. And then he's just also extremely creative. Like in those tight spaces, he thinks of a pass out of nowhere. It's a little whatever movement to create space just to continue to hold on to the ball. It makes a massive difference for the way that we play. And I think the biggest thing is that we finally have fullbacks. Calafiori, and eventually when Marino gets into this team, the left-hand side will kind of start to fix itself. I think you'll see Martinelli play a little bit better like how he was 2 years ago. And then Timber's just been that overlapper, because Odegaard doesn't do that. So Odegaard can stay in that half space. Saka does what he does, and then Timber overlaps. It's a different kind of way of playing to Ben White, which I think suits Saka a little bit, because he's always double teamed. So when you have that overlap, it just makes a defender think. So overall, I just think slowly this team is starting to really click and be efficient in all areas and be super well balanced. So I'm just excited to see what they do over the next, 24 games? Sorry, that was long-winded. My bad.
No, don't be sorry. That's good. I think the expression that I love in sports is he aligns the Rubik's Cube, and that's what Odegaard does. I've been critical of him, but he slots people. He slots people in the right places. Right. The team looked I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is, but they looked scrambled. There was a missing cog in the wheel. He is the main cog. He's a class player. I was critical at the beginning of the year because I have agendas, but he's class, man. He's class.
And he's also just the primary and honestly one of the only creators on your team. So when he was out the squad, we talked about it on here. There's not really much creativity coming from the rest of your other players. So that's a lot of that burden goes on to him. So when he's not playing well, I think we do shit on him more. But when he is playing well, you can definitely see his impact in your guys' team.
He's been great.
Both ways it's heightened.
He's been great right away, right since coming back, and they needed him to be, because they're still 7 points off the top.
Yeah, I mean this last game was probably the worst he's played, and it's typical mid-block. We're gonna struggle against Fulham on this weekend, because they play the exact same way, just mid-block, and that for some reason has been a bit of a difficulty for us. But now with Timber and Calafiori, we handle it a little bit better. But yeah, heartbeat of the team. Glad he's back. And literally a different intensity in the way that we press and when we press. So overall, he makes a massive difference.
He does.
All right.
You guys want to switch gears to the team that they're chasing?
Let's hate.
Okay. They finally dropped fucking points. I hate these guys, dude. That was awesome. Cinema. They go down twice. They finally regain the lead. Get fucking fucked, you twats. Get fucked. Oh, that was awesome. Dude, the Kellier hype train, he just fucking fumbles it over his head. couldn't have been any better. To
He
share
was
too.
not that great that game.
Poor guy. Yeah, he's been so good for him.
He's been
Yeah,
very
really
good for them.
Yeah,
but
it's been really
I
good.
think it showed.
Yeah, what
But
Salah,
he's
2
not
goals,
him.
same old. That's what he's been doing all year. Just slow first hour and then boom.
I was gonna say, what was the quote you said? Slot said in the
Yeah, Slot
like
said
the
in,
midweek?
in the post game interview, like Mo was fantastic, and he doesn't need to be fantastic. Like today, the first 60 minutes, not much, and then the last 30 minutes, amazing, super. Like Slot, yeah, he's a great manager. Like they kind of just snuck in and got him. He wasn't even their first option. Like I think Xabi Alonso's who they wanted based on all the reporting, but yeah, like very honest evaluator of the game, which I like. But yeah, I feel like that's part of the greatness of Salah. I don't think that's a knock on him at all. Like that's just how good he is in those situations in front of goal. Like he's inevitable. Second half of the season, we'll see.
That's what I'm saying.
Nah, yeah, it's not over. And again, we saw it. All these teams are human because Newcastle have not been that good lately. And all of a sudden, like St. James is a tough place to play, but Newcastle take points off them. 3 goals conceded. Their defense has been really solid this year. I know they're missing Konate. So, again, we're going to see what happens. I just don't think it's as over as some people were kind of saying it was, especially with teams like Arsenal and City who are capable of racking up points like that. Chelsea, who knows what's going to happen. But, yeah, they're human.
They are human. Look, man. Go ahead.
Hold
Go
on.
ahead.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Mo Salah has taken part in 75% of their goals.
Crazy.
It's a silly stat.
Jota needs to come back is what they need. I love Darwin.
It might be. I don't know if we get a drop off from Salah. If we get a drop off from Salah,
yeah.
There's nothing stopping the teams below them from
catching up,
either closing the gap or overtaking them. There's a lot of game left to play. And I said it last time. I said that it's not over till it's over, but I said it with a little more depression in my voice. But I don't know. That was a good. It was good to see that, and I think, yeah, it was. But that's kind of what we've been referring to as Liverpool. Like, I need to see them locked in till the final whistle or the end of the season, and I don't know if they can do it. So we'll have to see in the next couple months if they can hold the top. But that's a hard thing to do in the Prem, as a lot of teams know.
Yeah, Konate dropping's huge, I think.
Yeah.
Super important.
Injuries are going to happen this season.
Oh, for sure. Of course.
They're going to fucking start coming in more and more.
You just got to see how that
the
gets
more
addressed.
we're playing.
I'm going to remember this, Mila.
We already had all of them. We're still going through it, so it's fine. But, like...
They create...
I think...
You're both right.
Go ahead.
I think Mo is finishing off or creating a lot of their chances, but that's what Mo's been doing. I'm higher on them than I think most people. I think they're really good. They just had one of those games where I think it's Konate being out a little bit, but they've looked like Liverpool of the past defensively where they were conceding a lot. I also just thought Isak and Gordon were phenomenal in that game, really in that first half too. So, I don't know, Liverpool, I think they'll be all right. They need to keep dropping points. I've been a hater, and they haven't been losing. And the week I stopped hating, they finally dropped points. So
I saw a little graph of like your guys' next 10 games, Arsenal's next 10 games compared to Liverpool's. It's definitely favoring you guys, and I think what the graphic said was that you guys would be level.
Oh, bro, I know what you're talking about.
But
obviously.
You
just look at the fixtures, though.
Yeah, of course. But like, it's nice to look at those and see just the level of competition that you guys are going up against.
Yeah, I mean, you probably look at Chelsea's schedule. If they play like they have been playing, they could be up there by that point too.
Chelsea can definitely maintain their position as long as they don't slip up. It's in your guys' hands, Grant.
Well, I mean, who's next? I don't want to start too early on that. Or do we want to?
No, let's talk.
Stick to.
Let's talk Chelsea last.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
No. Is there the next? Did I say next?
No. I
whatever.
just want to stay on the Liverpool game still on that topic.
I
Newcastle.
I want to give them flowers and then take them back down if possible. And then we can switch gears. Is that fine?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh.
Stage is yours.
How could you give them flowers?
I'll give them flowers. That's the first. They haven't lost since September 14th. That's a lot of time in between games.
Eddie Howe not in the penitentiary.
That's pretty crazy. But what I will say is they suck. They're going to lose a bunch of games. They play a really, really, really strong Everton side that just won 4-0. So I'm expecting big things this weekend.
I've seen
from
people
McNeil.
Expecting actually big things from Everton.
No,
like, oh
no,
my God.
God.
It's the last derby at Goodison Park.
Wait a minute.
It's the last
yeah.
derby.
Wait a minute.
Like,
Wait a minute.
But I don't.
You saw that Broya 10-minute cameo at the end? Wait a minute.
So McNeil hat trick.
No, Broya hat trick.
But if Salah has a
he's
stinker,
yeah, but he had a good little cameo. Hopefully they buy him.
Jesus Christ. Well,
Pure
any
profit.
team
They're
that
not
beats
losing
another team.
to Everton.
no, I don't think they're going
To be fair,
I don't
Liverpool
even
did
think they
lose the
drop
league
points.
there last year. Liverpool did lose last year 2-0. That's when they kind of lost the league, for me at least.
It's a rivalry
But yeah, Everton
game.
are
Teams
so-
always get up for them.
Everton are just so bad, though.
But they're flying. They're flying.
What's crazy about that Wolves game, I think I texted you guys before, I was like, oh, I think Everton are going to get battered. I was very confident.
4-0.
No, I didn't say Wolves were going to win. I said they were going to batter Everton. And then 4-0. That's tough.
Hey man, I'm a guy all about form, and Everton won in their last game, and Liverpool drew, so that just means they're a better team. So
Hell yeah.
On form, of course. Yeah.
on form, yes. All right, let's switch away from those shit bags. Chelsea or City? Who do you want to hit next? You two pick. It's your two clubs.
If I must.
Yeah, Greg, go first.
Go ahead, Greg.
I think we should have absolutely battered Southampton, and we did, which is great. I think even more than that, I felt like we could have scored 10, to be honest. Regarding the red card, we were already up 3-1, and I don't think that game was going any other way.
Cucurella needs to cut his hair.
Nah, bro, that's payback.
Yeah, I agree.
Romero ripped him to the ground 2 years ago.
How's it
cost
payback?
us points.
What did
Because
Southampton do to
Romero-
Romero?
What did
It's
Southampton
not
do
Southampton.
to
Southampton
deserve
caught the
that?
stray, bro. It's unlucky. It really is. But we deserve that. We deserve the red card for someone pulling that man's beautiful hair. But 7 different players coming in from the game against Villa at home. Obviously, there's a few question marks. Jorgensen looked actually really good. Wish he would stay in against Tottenham, but that's not going to happen. But I think the rotations always kind of make me a little nervous. Like, hey, we need to take every game seriously. It's kind of the way I look at it. Southampton giving some big teams some trouble, but we just absolutely fucking battered them, to be honest. Like, all of our attackers, who I'm saying are kind of good, we all kind of know they're expensive. They're highly touted. Like, they should be kind of, they should have output. They're starting to just prove it. We've seen obviously the rough patches the past 2 years, but a lot of these players are coming into their own. I think Madueke looked good. I like what the manager said about him, kind of light a fire under him. We benched him because he wasn't training well. Love that. Palmer finessed another goal. Huge. Nkunku, who never gets to play. Goal and assist. Great. Caicedo, Enzo. Somewhat looking like the price tags, justifying those a little bit more week by week. Fantastic. And I think, are we going to talk about the Tottenham-Chelsea game after this, or
We can talk about it right now, honestly.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
I don't think there's much else to really say on the Southampton game. We should have kicked their ass. We did. So, I think we should absolutely batter Tottenham. I mean, last year we were terrible last year. Like, let's get one thing clear, and we beat them 4-1. Red cards, whatever. Like, this is what we do, right? And like, not even that. Just given the team's recent performances from both sides. Just the way Tottenham leave themselves open without having Van de Ven really to be able to protect them. Forster being in goal instead of Vicario, both fullbacks just not being in good form. Romero might be fit, but if not, you have Dragusin as your only center back that's fit. Bentancur's not playing, suspended. I think we should absolutely batter them. Like, I genuinely think it should be like 4-1, 5-1 if we put away our chances, because there will be chances. I think there's no way we don't create chances against that team. So if we're clinical, if we put them away, I gotta give the naming rights to Nicholas Jackson. That's what I want to happen after this game. I need another hat trick. That's what I need.
I feel like it could very well happen.
Oh, absolutely can happen. That's the funniest part. Like, I'm fully talking out of my ass, but like, he genuinely could put another hat trick on top of him. Like, I would not be shocked. So, I haven't really had as much chest just because the scar tissue the past 2 years and like what I've had to watch. So, I think, as crazy as it sounds, like the Southampton game was almost the one that kind of really is like, oh, okay, we are serious. Like, I do trust this team kind of going forward. So, I'd love to see it proven against Tottenham, but genuinely, I'm not like worried about it. I do think we go in there and take care of them.
They're in a
Perfect
free fall
game
right
for-
now, I think.
Absolutely, and that's
So
not.
I
it's a
agree
mix of
with
both.
you. There's
It's a mix of
actually
both.
no reason that you guys shouldn't win.
No,
You
it's a
never
mix of
know
both
with
for
the
sure.
It's
Hotspur. You
Tottenham,
never know.
though.
I don't even care about that. I'll be honest. I really don't. I
You guys
agree with
playing
you. Anything can
at
happen.
the Hotspur
Oh
Stadium?
no, does that matter?
No, not really.
Come on.
Only if you're City.
That's true. Oh.
I got two things. One, I'm surprised Mila hasn't said it. Cole Palmer is a goal GA merchant. What the fuck? Stealing goals from his teammates is absurd.
He
It's
got the
absurd.
assist. He got the assist. Nkunku
I
got
don't
the
think
assist.
so.
Yeah, he did. He got
Oh,
the
and
goal.
Kunku got the assist.
Yeah, and Nkunku got the assist. So he's all right.
Yeah, no, but he stole his goal.
Bro, it was close.
GA
It was
merchant.
close. Dylan, if that was you, what
I'm
would you have done?
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
What
fucking
would you have
smashing it
done?
through the fucking goal into row Z. I'm
He
just messing.
probably could have left it there. He probably could have, but
No,
you
you fucking
don't-
smash it.
you don't take that chance.
You know, you smash it.
Nkunku should have hit it first time. Should have cut it back. That's on him. But yeah, we missed a lot of chances, bro. We really did. Like, that was frustrating.
Yeah, you
How
guys were
Felix-
once you guys went. You guys were up 3-1, and then once you got the red card, it was.
It's really
you guys
just-
should have. You guys could have won by 10.
I think it's the nonchalant gimmick, bro. Like, sometimes with João Felix, like, I think he's so good, especially where he's being put to be successful in these half spaces, the way the team kind of shifts to make that work. Cucurella overlapped and Gusto inverted, so that was the first time he did two in the back. Obviously, it's Southampton, so it makes sense to do something like that, but again, everyone was talking about how rigid he would be, but I've loved just the way he adjusts based on each game, and with a squad as big as ours and as expensive as ours, like, you almost would expect that. But yeah, João Felix is just almost a bit wasteful. Like, that header, like, early in the second half, I think it was like 30 seconds in, Palmer crossed it in and just almost an open goal, missed it. Their keeper kept them out of genuinely holding 10. But yeah, hopefully Forster holds 10.
The second thing I was going to say is, unfortunately, Robin Hood always comes to collect. And that's what Tottenham are, man. That's just what they are. That's just what they are. So 3-2. That's my prediction.
My official prediction,
yeah, Robin Hood always comes to collect, man.
I respect it off vibes. Like, I'm not.
It's
I'm
too many
getting
goals
it.
for Tottenham.
It can't happen.
They put 4 past you.
Yeah, we were playing terrible football.
They put
Chelsea were
3.
playing good
They put a fuck ton
Chelsea are
past us
playing
too.
Great football right now.
Yeah,
They beat
bro,
Villa 4-1. They beat you guys 4-0. They beat
when did they
us
play Villa?
3-0.
Villa were also playing terrible.
No.
football.
I'm just saying they come to collect.
I
That's
know,
just what they do.
I know,
Unless they're playing
but-
Arsenal. There is a London thing in there. Maybe it's just a London thing.
If Timo gets a winner, I don't think I'll watch the sport anymore.
Yeah, I would break my monitor if I were you.
Honestly,
if he
The
celebrated,
revenge
I'd be
game
heartbroken.
is so powerful.
I'd be.
So
Oh,
we'll
Madueke
see.
played in their academy. Come on,
That
that's
doesn't
the
count.
revenge game. Yeah,
Just- no, it doesn't
Poro
count.
held his hands up. Poro didn't celebrate, and he played in the City Academy.
Yeah, because he wants
Top
to
10
come back one
respect
day.
moment.
Yeah, bro. Whoa.
You guys are gonna light them up. It's not gonna be close.
Yeah, 4-1 is what I'm doing. That's what I'm thinking. 4-1.
4-1 seems.
Same as last time.
Yeah,
They
I
can
don't
keep
got
all
any.
11 men, though. They can keep all 11 on the field.
Pedro
They're
Neto
He'll
playing.
should start
probably
that
have a
game.
clean sheet.
Oh, Pedro.
Yeah.
8 assists. Oh, we're not getting a clean sheet.
Yeah.
You should have a clean sheet.
Oh, I know.
It won't happen.
Yeah.
It won't happen.
One. Whether it's Sanchez, whether it's whoever's replacing Fofana, like maybe Badiashile, Tosin. Yeah, Gusto maybe even he gets a little overambitious sometimes in his own third. Or concede.
Yeah. Kulu or Son is going to make a magic moment, and it's going to be like it's.
I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't jinx it.
It's going to be the Chris Paul meme.
Yeah.
Cuts the lead down to 37.
No. It was funnier last year because they scored the first goal. They scored a second one that ended up being offside, and I was actually like, "Fuck!" And then 4. Like that was hilarious. So I wouldn't be mad at that again. Or a little Oscar when it was 7-0. Either one works. I need an annihilation.
It's gonna happen.
Whether it's the final score line or just the performance, like it needs to be definitive. That's all I ask.
Based off form.
I hope
that's
so.
all I'm based off. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Back to reigning champs, Man City. They win 3-0. They're back. Whatever, Mila. You want to just get? You want to?
Over a month. We haven't won in over a month in any competition, which is crazy. It's been a long time. But I don't even care. Like the win is nice, yes, but to see them play actual fucking footy once again was beautiful. And it's kind of like we were talking about with Odegaard. KDB's that fucking guy. We just click when he's in there. But it's kind of the same thing where we don't really have a creator right now outside of KDB. So when he's not there,
I like Grealish in the middle.
No one's creating. Yes,
You've begged for it for a long time.
Yeah, I know.
You're here.
I'm onto something. And Ake too, bro. He just can't stay fit. Those were the 2 things I took away from the Liverpool game. And the Grealish experiment definitely was a success, and it should be implemented going forward. Like, no matter who's with him. If Koba comes back, it should be Koba and him. Gundo and him. Fucking put Nico O'Reilly and him. Like, I don't care. The issue with our midfield was we weren't keeping the ball like we normally do. Too many turnovers in the midfield. Just wasn't gonna ever happen for us. So with him there, he's winning fouls a lot in the midfield.
He always
so instead of he does it on the wing. But if he's getting that ball that much and he's winning 6-7 fouls in the midfield instead of
even more valuable.
Losing the ball and giving us a counter or giving the other team a counter, like I'll totally take that. Pep was super happy with it. I think one of the bigger things I took from what the players were saying about it was that Doku also mentioned how the fact that Grealish is a winger helps a lot with their connection because he knows where he wants the ball. So I think that's a big part of it. Like Gundogan wasn't really here with Doku. He doesn't have that connection. So someone like Grealish that can get us going like that is kind of perfect. And he's got the work rate. He's fucking one of the only people outside of Ruben Diaz that I've seen actually put their fucking body on the line for a block in a very long time. So that was cool.
So Grealish and KDB's those 8s, right? That's what it has to be for you?
For sure.
And then naturally, my next question, where do you think Foden's best position is with that setup?
Well, the thing is we're going to rotate. It's like
for sure. But I'm talking Champions League.
I think Grealish is the key. Grealish is definitely the key. I could see us doing something more free-flowing. Pep lately, especially that last game, fucking fuck all for the position.
Especially if Grealish is in there, he can rotate wide.
Yeah, Gvardiol's playing left wing at times. Doku is a left back. Like, I saw Ruben Diaz at right wing at one point. Like,
who mentioned this when we were talking about Foden last episode? Move around, find something. But yeah, I like it. That makes sense to me. I
think if we were to put a Foden in for a KDB, obviously it's not the same, different type of player. But Grealish's impact in that midfield is the bigger part.
Yeah, it's a positive to take, absolutely.
Yeah. I just think we'll have more control of the ball. That's what we've been doing these past years, and if you've looked at the games we don't control the ball well, this is where we are.
Facundo, you have any thoughts here? Obviously, your title competitors the past 2 years. I'm sure you've watched them closely.
I've had this conversation with Grant. This little half turn thing I think he's a great player. I just think for the way that you guys play, and I mentioned it to Grant, it just clicks way better when De Bruyne's in there because he's actually in those spaces, whether out wide or in the half space, delivering across into the box for Haaland. Whereas Foden's more center of the pitch, like right outside the 18, and like there's less positions for you to play a pass to Haaland or do the things that Haaland likes to do when Foden occupies those positions. I don't know. I think he's a really good player. I just want more from him when things aren't going his way, and I don't think he always delivers in those situations. But you watch them more than me, so you're probably going to argue that that's not true just based off
I'm
form.
He
not
has done it in the
arguing
past.
this. I'm not
He
talking
absolutely
about
has.
this
Yeah,
for a
yeah,
I
third
just think
episode
that
in a
it's a
row.
lot
He
of
absolutely has done it in the
problem
past.
is it's a lot of the narratives from international play that are now creeping into club Foden, where it's like, hey, what's his best position? You can't play him in his best position because the guy ahead of him is the best player I've seen in the Premier League in my lifetime. Like, I don't know. I just think sometimes it's just like, well, he needs this, he needs this. It's like, no, just go do it. You don't need all of this stuff around you. Just go perform. I watch Saka get double teamed every week, and he makes things happen. But again, different profile of player, all of these things. He is still really good. It's just in moments where there's a bit more adversity, I feel like Foden just doesn't deliver for me. But that's just my own personal opinion, and I don't watch
Okay.
every City game.
All right. And to
And
that,
yeah,
he had a plenty of clutch goals last season.
He did.
So a little drop
Absolutely
of
did.
form is fine for me. This is what I've been saying. I don't think he's suddenly a shit player that can't do anything. He obviously won the awards last year for a reason. He was one of our most important players last year for a reason. So if he takes time to come back, like, I really do not care. If the team's going, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
So I really don't care.
And I'm
The
not
big thing is
scapegoating
that
him either.
KDB
Like, it's not
No,
the
no,
reason
I know.
City are playing bad. It's
I know,
just
yeah.
specifically,
It's
I want
definitely
more
a thing.
from him sometimes.
Yeah, he's my first pick in fucking FPL. Like, I need him to perform too. But I do understand that we don't know things completely all the time, and this isn't what I've seen from Foden throughout his career. So I do have faith that he'll come good within the season.
Absolutely.
Also, December time last year, he had 2 goals.
Fair enough.
And then look at the season he had after that. So I'm not tripping about it. I think he'll be fine. I'm more focused on that City performance, even without him. Just as a group, it was great. And then the big thing for the defense that I saw was that when we would kind of lose our shape in the transition, I think Ruben Diaz was just key. And we've talked about it plenty of times on here that he is a key player for us, but he definitely kept us in shape when we needed to be kept in check, basically. When people were starting to get a little too crazy going forward, he'd look around and he'd be like, okay, hold up, let's get back. And then that kind of keeps our composure. We have that ability to play more attacking because we have that safety net of the defense behind us.
Almost kind of how you mentioned, like, the A center back, the B center back. Like, I think you've said about Akanji, like, he's very good, but he is not an A. So,
No.
like, to have a guy like an organizer in the back, yeah, absolutely.
You always
crucial.
need a leader in the back line.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter.
absolutely.
I don't think it really matters what position it is, but you need one leader in the back line.
Kyle Walker, baby.
Not now. God, jeez.
Yeah, no.
And that's how we stop talking about City.
No,
Just
no,
mention
no,
Kyle
I actually-
Walker.
there is one thing that an actual point I want to bring up, and the first thing I want to bring up is I'm very disappointed in you, Grant. I just listened to Facundo say your rant. That's your rant. I wanted to hear it for a third straight pod. You could have totally come out here and been, wow, Foden didn't play in City 1-3-0. What the fuck? That didn't happen. I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed. The agenda was there. You fucking had the chance. Just fucking get up there, swing the fucking bat, baby. You didn't do it.
KDB
The actual thing that I do want to bring up.
He doesn't want to scream again.
No, I know he doesn't. the real point I want to bring up, and I haven't really heard any media attention from it, and from the 45 minutes that I watched of the game was
Holland?
Ortega started again.
Oh, Ortega, yeah.
Ortega started again. City still leaked a couple chances, but when they did leak chances, the shot blocker was there to make the saves. And it wasn't Ederson. It wasn't Ederson. That's 2 straight starts. Has that happened before when Ederson's been healthy? When Ederson's been healthy, has Ortega started? Like, this is a benching. Yeah. This isn't an injury thing.
If you look at the way we've kind of been playing this season, though, Ortega just makes more sense. We're not keeping the ball like we do normally, like I talked about. So Ederson being there, like, we're taking more chances against us. So Ortega's skill set just makes more sense, I think.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought.
Totally part of the main reason why we have Ortega. It's because Pep and the squad, like the building of the squad, is like,
they know Ederson. Last season.
Exactly. There you go.
I'm curious if that's what Pep saw, and that's why they were like okay with him leaving in the summer. That was like a big thing.
Yeah, it might be time for Ederson to go. You guys know, I was so anti-Ederson leaving, though.
We'll give you Robert Sanchez in exchange.
We don't want that guy.
What do you say?
I know it seems far-fetched, but is there a chance that he leaves in January?
No.
If there's a falling out we don't know about. That's the only. That's why
I just think it's weird.
It's the only chance. He wouldn't leave based on... I don't think...
Saudi comes calling in January. City wants to cash a check.
If there's a fallout. That's the only way I think that happens, is if there is a falling out we don't know about. But that's all speculation.
I'm just a little... I totally could see it being the case. It's just weird that you sack you bench him, right?
Only way I see that is if they really do need a 6 replacement during that period of time. Just to bring in some sort of cash.
I think they got
we don't need the cash. We have plenty.
You guys have the Alvarez.
Fair enough. You guys have your fake sponsorships, but
no.
Regular teams have to think a different
We also
way.
have more sales. We have fucking sales to you guys too.
Oh yeah, you guys can't sell. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's one of the weirder ones of the season. I don't remember the last time I saw it.
Expensive in London. Oh my god.
Am I the only one that's a little thrown off by this? Like.
No, it makes
it's definitely interesting, but I think he comes back in. I think Ederson comes back in.
Okay. Maybe I'm just overreacting for a 2-game stretch here.
I don't think this is a far-fetched... Like, I don't think this was outside of the realm of possibility at the start of the season. That's why we have Ortega. He's a starter in most teams in the league.
Absolutely.
And there's only one reason that he'd stay at City is because he can fight. It's a competition. I think that's
we do, bro.
what it...
Yeah, we do. Jorgensen played.
No, he just came in for rotation.
This is
he plays
a high-level competition, though, I think, for the goalkeeper spot. Yeah. And that's why Ortega decided that he'll fight for it, and Ederson had to know that when he extended.
Like,
decided not to stop Carson yet. That's crazy.
The only other team that has done this in recent memory, to my recollection, is Arsenal.
And everybody lost their minds.
And look at how Ryan's doing it.
No. And Ramsdale's... My thing is that Ramsdale is gone. Mm-hmm. They were like, get the fuck out of here. Like, we've got our one now. Like, I'm just like...
That's the thing. I don't think it's set in stone yet. I think it's still a battle for it, because if Ortega gets the Premier League spot, Ederson's going to actually...
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, is that like you don't switch one? This was the biggest thing with Arsenal. Was like you don't switch ones. You just don't do that. You don't do that every game. So like they're
not
gonna,
when you're
like,
playing good, you don't do that. But when you're fucking shitting the bed, no, we were shitting the bed though. We were shitting the bed.
It's just so,
Dylan, we let Tottenham have 4 past us. Like
I know. I'm just thinking maybe this was the end. Maybe he's gone. Maybe he's gone in a month.
There's also a little bit of there's something with Ortega. People go up on a 1v1 against Ortega, and they just look less like
the PTSD of that moment, man.
I guess so. But like, yeah.
Makes sense.
I just thought it was interesting.
Salah had a 1v1 with him and fucking
did shit his
missed
pants.
the frame altogether. Like, that's one of the best players. If not, he's the best player in the league at the moment.
Yeah. Selhurst Park away.
Is that our next game?
Yeah. and then Juve away.
I don't know. This is what I talk to you guys about every week. It's like I don't know who's fucking
just
fit
that keeper,
right now.
just that keeper,
I
just
think
that
he
keeper.
plays again.
Yeah.
Oh, Ortega.
Why
has to
would he
play.
have lost his
Ortega starts.
spot?
I thought they were
Crystal
going to
Palace
I
do
was
is
this
thinking
before
maybe
the
a
year.
lower team. You have the ball more. That's my only thought. That's my only thought.
Sorry,
I thought they were
I'm
We're
gonna
just
do
talking
this
about
before
shit
the
we're talking
year.
when it comes to
about
this stuff.
rotation based off of the teams we're playing at goalie. Like that's fucking nuts.
This is nuts.
That's so big brained. I can't
Pep
even
is
get behind
nuts.
it.
It's fucking
I
bad.
know I can't get behind it. I'm sorry.
But,
That's
like,
utter woke
that's-
nonsense. That's too
We're
much for
on-
my brain to
they're polar
comprehend.
opposites, not opposites. There's definitely, but like when it comes to their skill sets, Ederson's got a very specific game that benefits us when we're playing a certain way. And if we're going to be a leaky defense, especially when we don't know who's playing in the defense, I'd rather have Ortega back there who's going to make more saves.
Yeah, I think
I think it
Ortega's
makes
going to
sense.
continue playing. I thought they were going to do this before the end of the year. I think that one where, I forget who you guys were playing, where he came out and thought he was going to get it and was nowhere near. That starts to
that was
show
the
me
turning
where
point.
it's like when your keeper's trying to do too
very hard.
much to keep you guys in a
Oh
game,
right.
then it just is like, because that's what you want out of
Yeah.
your goalkeeper is you want security. You don't want a guy like Ramsdale where you're thinking you're just going to give the other team the ball. It's like it's why Grant hates Sanchez. Not that Ederson was doing that, but I think he's like, we're getting exposed, getting beat over the top all the time. Like, hey, let me make something out of this, and then you completely whiff. And I don't think that's the reason he's not playing, but it's just
I think you're right. That play is the reason is the last game he started in, and that's the last game that he might play for City. That's crazy. That moment.
No, surely he
Dude.
plays another game. Oh, it's almost
they'll
January.
play. They'll rotate. I just think it's one. He's probably just not clicking right now, and they need to continue doing things at training to get him backed up to speed. But I mean, they're both really good keepers. It's just I think one's a little bit of a better shot stopper, and that's kind of what they need right now because they're conceding chances.
sure.
So it makes sense. I thought they were going to move off from Ederson before the season started. So I mean, he won him a league last year. Like this goalkeeper's just as good.
He's a good goalkeeper. Yeah.
There was just something that I noticed. We were going to talk about it on the last episode. We didn't do it, and I was like, I gotta bring it up
we
because
didn't
if
bring
it
it up
goes
at
another
all.
week and we don't, like, that's you don't normally see that. You don't normally
You
see
just
that. And like
see- yeah.
Chelsea are going right back to Sanchez,
Yeah.
right?
Coach
So
said right after the game, motherfucker.
So-
Again, they're playing well. They're playing
right
well.
away.
Yeah,
I
That's
fucking
their,
hate him,
that's
mate. I don't care.
the issue. I know, but you're
I
not
don't trust
losing
him.
games because of this right now. You guys are
That's
playing
true.
well.
He has had good
And
performances.
we're not
lately.
losing games necessarily from Ederson, but there are a lot of chances that we faced that he could have done better for, and then Ortega would have done better for. And the whole point of him being the best distribution goalkeeper in the world isn't being utilized right now. What's the point of playing him when we have the guy that's a better shot stopper? I think that's just the main point that Pep is going with right now.
Yeah. I like it.
leave it to Pep Guardiola to be making tactical changes at fucking goalkeeper.
Bro, he locked himself in his room. He had
I
to lock
know.
up.
He did harm himself. I don't know why.
I'm glad he's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad he's looking happy. That's what we love
No
to
more.
see.
Yeah,
But,
no more self harm for Mr. Guardiola.
no, get that nose healed up.
You guys want to push through into the next segment? You want to take a break? What do we want to do?
Let's do like a 2-minute break.
2-minute break.
2-minute.
Short break, but we're going to jump into our Premier League underperformers so far this season. We'll go from our teams to the Big Six, the traditional Big Six, and then we'll jump into the rest of the pack. Grant, Chelsea, who's been your underperformer so far this season?
I went Kieran Dewsbury Hall. I genuinely looked at the squad and I was just like, I like most of them, and then the ones that I don't rate, I kind of went off my expectation for what I wanted from them versus what we're getting, and I feel like everyone, in terms of my expectations, is kind of met or exceeded. Dewsbury Hall, I thought, was the Gallagher replacement, if you will. Obviously, it's a new system, but just kind of squad player. Well, should be a squad player. If we want to be at the top, that's a squad player. But anyways, I thought he was going to come in, squad player, give us some good minutes, and he's gotten his minutes in the Conference League and the Cups midweek, but hasn't really shown much, and I expected a little more just because he was with Maresca last year. Obviously, it's a championship, but he was pretty good for him as one of those attacking eights. I thought he'd be able to just kind of come in, understand the system, just kind of link play, and he's been all right. He's definitely looking better, but especially to start the year, just wasn't really seeing it. Kind of felt like, why did we spend this money on him? Obviously, there's a lot of guys you can maybe say that about. But yeah, I went with Dewsbury Hall.
I think it's a good one.
That's a good shout because that was the manager's pick. You know what I mean? Like the club spent good money on him. Yeah, like for a championship player. Yeah, it's weird. And
to be fair, I thought someone would take him last year. I didn't think he'd play in the championship. I thought like some Prem team would take him. And Brighton I think they got him. They agreed a deal, but then we came in and hijacked it just because we fucking hate Brighton. But yeah, they got us again. Those motherfuckers.
Do you still hate them?
Not as much, no, because I mean,
Cucurella kind of good.
Cucurella was the one that put it over the top because he's top. But Caicedo obviously is great. But once Sanchez is benched again, then we'll be all right.
He might be the only player that, like, our big concern going into the season was like, oh, Chelsea's spending too much money. Where are all these guys going to fit? How are they going to play? He's not even. Is he really even playing in the Conference League?
Not as of late.
Right, so he's the only person that's getting kind of shunned out. Yeah, and you spent 35 million.
Chukwuemeka, for me, it kind of frustrates me too. I guess that's kind of stemming, but like I feel like Chukwuemeka could do the job at a higher level in Dewsbury Hall. Obviously, you're asking.
He's gone though, right?
Yeah, which is very sad.
That's probably why.
If you guys fucking get him, I'd be fuming. He would be very good in your system. In those half spaces, he's very good in those areas. And I thought, like, obviously, he's more of a 10. The tracking back, Dewsbury Hall can do that, which Chukwuemeka hasn't ever really shown that, but I think especially a young player, they can learn that. And
it's easier to teach.
And he got blocked out, and he's probably gone in January because of it, whether it's a loan or a sale. So I guess that kind of makes it a little worse. I know one of you guys, I think Facundo, we talked a little earlier, you might have said Mudryk, but I think he's been really good in the games he's getting, and I kind of said this, whether it was on the pod or not, like when we've talked about it. He needs no pressure, and you hate to say this about a guy you spent so much money on, but like, he just needs zero pressure, go out there, play 90 minutes, and do what you do, just to grow, gain that confidence. And he's starting to show that in those Conference League games. And again, the competition, obviously not the best, but he's getting more and more confident, even in the Prem cameos that he's getting. You're starting to see kind of why we might have paid that much for him. So I'm not disappointed in him at all. And I think it gets better from here with a lot of our guys. But Dewsbury Hall. I
don't know. I still go back, and I think that's probably the one I would have picked from your squad, just based off the
not this year.
But 90 million 2 years ago. By this point now, you would have
62. Fuck you. Plus add-ons.
Sorry. 7-year contract.
88 with all the add-ons, but he's probably not hitting them right now.
Teams that blow all this money always have an argument back now, but
we make money.
Whatever, 70 million, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, sure.
2 years ago, you would think he would have been playing more now, and then you ended up bringing Neto, who's playing over him. So I don't know, but yeah, I had the same problem. I was like, I don't know who I think is disappointing right now.
All right, so yeah, you go for it then. I guess if it's a little bit similar, you're not as angry at it.
My pick was Martinelli. I just think 2 years ago, 15 goals, 5 assists, 59 chances created this sounds like a nerdy stat, but 53% dribble success. And then the following year, goal contributions cut in half, and he can't dribble by anybody, loses all of his confidence. And then this year, he's slowly starting to pick it back up. But I feel like in these long sprints where I'm used to him just blowing by someone, it feels like he's losing these now. And then he's just really indecisive in moments where I just want him to be aggressive like Saka is, doesn't care who's in front of him and just go at him. I want a little bit more of that from him, but he's really not that kind of player. So yeah,
is he resilient?
It's more just disappointment, like a slight disappointment, considering 2 years ago I was like, this kid's going to be phenomenal. But I think with Calafiori coming in and Marino, it'll help him a little bit.
Is he it's crazy because I want to say he's less, or he's worse than like Havertz in terms of like just his overall aggression, his toothlessness, and that's tough, man.
I would.
No.
I don't think anyone on my team is like that. Like in terms of mentality, like I actually think that all of these guys are locked in. I just think the structure on that left-hand side last year was rough for him, which contributes to the drop in form. I think he is trying. I just think he's trying too much. Like, he's just got to, like, be a bit more decisive. But you can tell he wants to do something. He just doesn't know what he needs to do, and then he loses the ball.
The brain and the cogs are moving, but like
Yeah.
nothing's going on down
His
here. It's just like
feet are
all
moving
mumbo
way
jumbo.
faster in his brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one I
interesting.
considered was like Fabio Vieira, but he's on loan now, and like I don't know, but I just think in
The shout,
terms
to
of
be
who's
fair.
currently on the squad, I went with Martinelli.
Oh, I'll go Kepa then, if we can do that, because we're still paying him
No, we
probably.
can't do that.
No.
Sterling, because we're paying Sterling.
I
disappointed
think
he's not
in that
going to get a
Arsenal
fee.
side, that's
You're not
a good
disappointed with
shout,
their
right?
performance.
I'm
Yeah.
disappointed we're not going to get a fee.
The only other one
Okay,
I
but
could
if
think of
Sterling
was
was playing
Gabriel
well,
Jesus.
you'd also be pissed.
Yeah, Jesus is a good one. But then again, like, were you expecting any more from him this season to be healthy and to be playing
Not
games?
after
Like,
last
I
year.
wouldn't have.
I think I had more
Yeah.
expectations last year. This year, it's just like Martinelli's young too, so like you just expect like he's not getting. He's younger. So in general, I'm just thinking he's got more time to develop and learn. Whereas some of these other guys, you're probably going to start looking at shipping them out. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that's our weakest position right now is left wing.
Yeah, that would have been my pick. Would be between the two of them, him or Trossard. Trossard's also been just kind of,
He's
You know what I mean?
super
He's
sub.
Premier League
He knows his
proven.
role. I just think he's clinical
So
in
you
front of
think
the
he's
goal,
just a
but
role guy?
he's clinical in front of goal. I just think in other areas where like you need the right pass or it to be on the ground and then it's like lifted or whatever it is, or the random back pass that gets Saliba sent off. It's just things like that where he hasn't necessarily been clicking. He's clinical in front of goal, but I don't know. I just, like Mikel is, I'd rather a little bit more control than you be reckless in your passing and all that. It's the same reason I don't like Partey. It's too direct sometimes.
There's another reason I don't like Partey.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
You're gonna go, Dale?
Yeah, no, you can go. You can go.
Everyone probably wants me to go Foden. I'm going Bernardo though.
Yeah, that's a fair shot. I'm not mad at it.
Okay, Foden was not fit coming into the season.
Yeah.
He didn't play the initial games
Bernardo's
of the
been
season.
bad.
Bernardo's been
For
back,
his standard.
and he's been bad. He's been non-existent. A lot of people are kind of looping him in with Rico and like, what are they doing on the pitch? I'm okay with having Rico look a little confused on the pitch. He's still very young. Bernardo's been here. He's very experienced, and he's looked lost. I think this last game was an exception. He looked actually decent and pretty good in it. The whole team was playing better, though. So if Bernardo was playing at the level that he has the past years, I definitely don't think this rut would have been as bad because I think we rely on him a lot, but at this point, it might be over for what we want. The output we're expecting out of him, I don't think he can match it anymore. So that's why he's been a disappointment for me. And also, he just kind of looked positionless. And I know it's the same thing that you guys say about Foden, but I can kind of see when Foden plays the issues he's having, whereas with Bernardo, it looks like either his legs are gone or his head's like he just doesn't know what to do. But this last game was definitely an improvement on that, so I think it'll look better.
I feel like Gundo's a shout, but he's older, definitely, so you can almost expect
that was
it at
another
that
one
point.
I was gonna do. Is that like Gundo? But
he's
again,
older.
we're asking him to do
Yeah.
way more than what we brought him back in for. He was supposed to be a backup 6 or backup player in general to when these guys aren't
not every
fit
week,
or
every
not
game.
a fucking full-on starter every week.
Yeah,
And
then
Gundo
Bernardo
looked a lot better with Grealish in the midfield, so it's like
Bernardo's always been linked to leave for like years. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
he
wants to get out of the Manchester weather for the past like 4 years of his Man City career.
It's probably
so it's like,
but yeah. It's just such a drop off from the levels he's sustained.
Did Savio cross your mind at all in terms of players?
I was thinking about it like a little right before this. With him though, I think it's kind of just waiting till he gets the first goal. Like it's boiling at the top right now, and once the top blows, then we'll be will be good with him because he
He's 20
definitely
years old.
there's sparks. There's so many sparks when you see him, and we get excited watching him play. But the output and the end product is not there. But if you look at his season last year with Girona and their push to try to win that title, like he was there. He did not have a mediocre season in the GNA at all. So I think he's totally
Good
capable of it. It's probably just a little bit of nerves and us asking too much out of him. Kind of asking him to replace that Mara's gap. And he's also had a lot of comparison to Mahrez, so I think that's a lot on a young guy's head. So that's why I didn't put him in.
I'm picking a different number.
I just said it because I had to drop him in FPL last week, and it was really sad.
That's tough. I had to drop
Interesting.
Don't say interesting. You look at his last 15 games, and you'll be like, "Oh shit!" Like,
what about the next 15 games?
That was why I was saying, is it a disappointment? Because to Facundo's point, like Pep chose not to play wingers instead of playing him at a certain point.
Yes,
right.
Not to say that that's the right or wrong call, but like
I know,
he's 20 years old.
You have to keep in mind that it is his first season at the club, and
it takes guys like a year and a half to learn the Pep system.
Players don't learn our system that fast. I think he's actually developing
He's shown
really
flashes
well.
for sure.
He actually looks like he kind of understands the system, but yeah, the output is just not there right now.
He's absolutely shown his flashes, and he's 20 years old.
Because Bob got hurt, the expectation on him was put so much higher, right? Because he was supposed to split those minutes.
Look at who's behind him all season.
I have no idea.
Like, Pep's been crazy with what he's been deploying behind Savio. It's either been Rico inverting, and there's nothing behind Savio, so Savio's doing a lot of running up and down, or Walker, who's a dud this year.
Yeah, he's terrible. Dylan, the floor is yours.
Alrighty. Yeah, United was a tough one just because there's
Ineos.
That's a good pick.
It's not a good pick. They've done some decent business. Some of it's been crap. Some of it's been good. That might be the biggest disappointment is why didn't they just bring Almirón in the summer?
Right.
But that's what made this so difficult is because I already had expectations of certain players coming into the season, and so like nobody like has really exceeded those expectations, if that makes sense. But they haven't underperformed it in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that made it hard is now that there's a new fucking manager, how am I really supposed to gauge it after 4 games? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with that being said, the only player that I was super high on coming into the season that hasn't been at that mark has been Højlund. Because I was thinking, you know what? United have a striker here that can do it. And the numbers made sense. Statistically, he looked great. He just wasn't getting service. So in my head, it was, okay, let's get him service and it'll work. It'll happen. Now, I'm not saying he's gotten that service, and here's where that kind of, this is what made it really hard for me, is he's still not necessarily getting the service, but he's also not putting himself in positions to get service, which is a bigger issue. I think that can be taught, and I think the system will help him with that, which is hopefully Almirón can bring him out, right? Like, that's what every person that has a platform like we are is saying, is like, oh, Almirón's going to get the best out of him. But I'm not, where I was sold on that coming into the season, I'm no longer sold on that. And I don't know if that's just the vibes of where I'm at with United, but
you stole mine. No, you've said everything I was going to say too. Like every talking point I agree with, like to a T. Like you said, I expected like, oh, he's somewhat clinical, given what we've seen, like get him that service, get us some structure. Now we're talking. He's fast, he's strong, got a good strike on him. But yeah, like you said, I always try to give those, especially young players, at least a year before really getting critical of them. At first, you just kind of want to judge what they're doing and flashes and just seeing, is there something there? And then they get comfortable. But yeah, like you said, I would also not be convinced if that's like, oh, we'll get him that service, we'll get him that structure, boom. To your point, I think you made a great point. It's also not getting yourself in those positions too. Some of that has to be a factor if it's this often.
Look, we've been super critical of Foden and of other players for not being the spark. Your 9 has to be part of that spark, right? That's what good 9s do. Jackson does this. Holland does this. Like, even during portions of the season, Havertz does this.
Thank you.
And I know I haven't seen Havertz in weeks now, so I don't really know what he looks like. But I think that just furthers my point that he's just been disappointing so far. But I'm going to hold grace because since Almirón's come in, and in that Europa League game, we saw those flashes again. And that's so difficult for me as a United fan right now, because the flashes are there. But it's like, bringing that together, man. Like, can we bring it together? Because
I want the whole load.
I want the whole load.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Yeah, because like in that Arsenal game, like 79 minutes of nothingness, right?
Most of your squad.
Mace.
That's fair. Mount and Garnacho, same thing.
Garnacho that'd be one person I'd consider, if not Rashford, and maybe Bruno.
To be fair, he does have an Argentina agenda. We have to put that out there.
Yes.
Bruno is rounding into form. I think Bruno is just like a combination of like the dude never doesn't play, and so some of it's his own fault. And I'm interested to see like what the rotations look like with Almirón and him being the captain and how much he's going to play. He's rounding into form. It's Bruno. He kind of does this. This is the waves of his season. Some games he's like a portion of 3 games he'll be terrible. He'll go on an 8-game stretch where he's our best player. It's just what I've come to know with him. The Garnacho thing, Mila and Grant know it. I haven't been as high as everyone else has been on Garnacho. I think his decision making is super poor. I think he's a kid. He's a kid winger whose
also 20 years
favorite
old.
Player is Ronaldo, and he thinks he's Ronaldo, and there's a lot of good qualities that come with that. But he's not ready to be a starter every single game, and I don't know if he fits in the system, and this could be his last season at United. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, you know who does fit in that system? Ahmad.
Ahmad does fit.
Get him in one of those 10 spots.
Yeah, that's the evolution of the team is with him in one of them.
Absolutely. But if we wanted to get into the rest of the Big Six, my pick was Højlund, and I think that conversation really did cover it, so I don't really have anything else to say on that topic. I guess
nice.
Go to Facundo.
Mine was Darwin Núñez.
I'm glad you said this.
As a year,
Benfica, 26 goals from 18.5 XG, so he overperforms it by 7. And then last year, 11 goals from 16.5 XG, underperforms by 5. I like the guy. I think he takes a lot of crap from opposing fans and even Liverpool fans that get extremely frustrated with him. And I understand the frustration. I do think that it kind of overlooks how much he actually does in terms of intensity. He actually involves himself in the game pretty well. Like, I do think that how he gets along with people is a little bit of an underrated thing for him. But he's just not putting the ball in the net. And I thought, I'm used to Luis Suarez, Cavani, Forlan, those kind of expectations. So he does it a little bit more for the national team, but in terms of Liverpool, he should put the ball in the back of the net way more often. But good player, just slightly disappointed in terms of the evolution isn't what I wanted to see, considering I root for him on the national team.
Yeah, I definitely think that's where the disappointment comes in, is like the past couple years we've been able to see his development, and it might not have been there, but you could see that he's getting in the positions, he's a hard worker, and it kind of was just the finishing that was kind of missing. It still hasn't come though, and that's the disappointing part. I do think it's hard in this team. He wasn't the first choice right away, and he's still kind of trying to find favor.
Just replacing Jota, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's also another thing weighing on him, but I think it's about time that he starts putting them away if he wants to be that guy for Liverpool.
Imagine if he starts putting away chances. That would win then the league, to be honest. If he started putting chances away.
Yeah.
And I even think to like the last game they played against Newcastle, he lost the ball a few times, just really honestly just dumb passes where it's like, why would you, there's no need to play that ball. So like that understanding of what to do with the ball, that definitely doesn't help this case. But yeah, I also am a Darwin Núñez enthusiast, so I'd like to see it get picked up at some. And not too much, to be fair.
Yeah.
I also had another one, and it's a younger guy in Archie Gray.
That's a fair shot.
I think, though, a lot of it is his utilization in the squad.
Yep.
Yeah, because I'm a big fan before he even came, but I wanted to see more out of him in that signing. I thought a bigger team could have picked him up and actually utilized him better. So that's where my disappointment comes into him, but I don't really have much more to go over that. I just thought we'd see more out of him. He is very young, though, to be fair.
Yeah.
They threw him at center back once Ben Davies went out.
He can play a lot of positions, and I think that's part of the appeal.
They've kind of had an issue at the 6, especially Bentancur's out right now. He is kind of a 6, no? Like, that's where he played at Leeds, or he inverted into that spot. Facundo, you don't think he's a 6?
I don't think it really matters. I think Tottenham just play the same way. Like, where the space, and it's not like these dudes are getting like half chances. Like, they're getting great chances every game. 4, 5, 6. Like, Bournemouth today should have been up 6-0. So, I don't know. I think Tottenham.
You think imagine if they had Rodri in the pivot, it just lone pivot in that system. How
they're so wide open.
It's the only person that can maybe do that.
And that's the biggest thing.
Like Conte in his prime, bro.
Oh,
that's what they're looking for right now.
Yeah, best we can do is Yves Bissouma. Oh.
All right. What's your big 6?
I had a hard time with the big 6 because I think that really outside of United and Spurs, there's not like everyone's played pretty much to my expectations. Some people over. But the person I picked was Solanke. And the reason is the price tag and the system, because the system is suited for him. The system is suited towards a player of Solanke's caliber. It's not that much different than what he was doing at Bournemouth. Outside of like a stretch of games like between that United game that they had, like he's been poor. They have 28 goals. He's only got 4 of them.
In the league?
In the league. 28 goals.
Had him ranked second.
It was a blind ranking.
It was a blind ranking.
I won't allow that excuse. I won't allow it.
To the point of Bournemouth, he was doing it there. Bournemouth are ahead of Tottenham in the table.
Up the chairs.
Yes.
Which is kind of insane.
It is kind of insane.
Areola, man, when they first fired O'Neill and brought in Areola, that was a crazy move at the time. O'Neill kind of brought them up to like mid-table almost. Hindsight 2020, but the right move, naturally. I mean, big teams are probably going to be swarming him soon.
All right, back to Solanke, though. Sorry.
To Grant's point about Son earlier, like, they moved, we're talking about, like, kind of a managerial thing. We're moving Son away from that natural position of striker to fit in Solanke, so he's got to perform. Right? If we're gonna be doing the shuffling. And that just... I'm just disappointed because I expected more. And I think Spurs fans should expect more. And I haven't heard a whole lot about him this season. It's just been...
Spurs tax, but I think he's shown it. But yeah, like you said, inconsistent today. He ghosted. He did ghost today. I think he's still a good player, but to your point, like he's a talisman last year. That's the reason Bournemouth were so good, especially in that second half of the season, was him. He was consistently putting chances away and like good finishes too, confident finishes. So I still would give it more time for sure. But yeah, 4 league goals, definitely disappointing given their position.
I was just going to say, like, he's half the Kane money, isn't he? Like, that's what Spurs spent their money on, was for him to be that dude and to make up the goals. And he's not doing it so far.
They spent that money on Richarlison and Solanke. Oh.
I would be disappointed if it was me, because he's not outperforming... out of the strikers in the league so far, has he been top 10? No. But maybe that is just a Spurs thing. I don't know.
I'd give it some time for sure, but yeah, he's definitely not. You kind of mentioned everything. Might be a little disappointing. And then, all right, do you want to get into the rest now?
Yeah, let's get into the rest of the field.
So I did have a few, but I'm gonna go with Eze. Just kind of based off league position. Paqueta and Tonali were my other shots. But just based off league position, like Eze, obviously he was linked to Spurs. They probably should have picked him up now that we're talking about it. But ended up staying at Palace. Gahey staying as well. So I was like, oh, Palace can really kind of build off last year and how they finished the season. And they're still just creeping out of the relegation zone. I believe he has 1 goal this season. You'll never guess who he scored that against. 2 assists, I think. They're starting to pick it up a little bit as of late. I think like their last 7, they've only lost 1. But
They're definitely looking better now.
and I think he will kind of swing back into form. I know they were trying Kamada in one of those 10 spots. Even in Ketia, they were kind of trying to put him and Mateta in there. They're starting to kind of figure out who's going to be able to do what for them. So I definitely expect him to kind of bounce back and end up having a good year. But for now, definitely been disappointing.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Eze was also mine. Very
Really?
similar reasons. I'm going to pick another one, though, just so it's not
boring. The one
but,
thing, I
yeah.
think he's been playing hurt, hasn't he? For most of the season? I want to say there's been an injury thing with him.
Yes.
And Palace have been really bad. I think he's been one of their only bright spots when they play. I don't know if it's just
disappointing.
He's been a little wasteful in front of goal. He's been hurt, but yeah, I mean, in terms of what everyone was expecting,
I think,
but in general, Palace has been disappointing as a team.
Mm-hmm. I think their defense should have, on paper, should definitely be a lot better.
They got a strong back
three. It hasn't been. They have a very strong back 3. So I think as a team, like Facundo was saying, they are just disappointing. But I think Eze was probably the one that I had the highest expectations for on that team, and he hasn't met them. If he is injured, though, then fair play. But
they only have 12 goals. He's got 3 goal involvements. Like, that's weird. They're just a weird team. There's
Jean-Philippe needs to round into form.
They need to stop playing with a back 3.
Thing.
They don't have wing backs.
Nketiah?
They got to stop playing with a back 3.
You might be right about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the manager's preferred style, but if you're not going to invest in wing backs, then what is the point of having
probably,
that, you know?
Bro, if Palace had Paul, get a guy that, well, obviously they wouldn't get Frimpong, but
I think this is Eze's last year there. I think that he's gone. I think he goes I think he goes to a Big 6.
Him and Wharton
are
gone after this.
Yeah,
too,
I agree with that.
We might get Gabe.
I'll just go into. I had 3 names that I can't pick between. I also had Paquetá. I had Bruno Guimaraes and Evan Ferguson. Evan's been hurt, but when you're throwing around 100 million as a price tag for him, it's just kind of hard. Bruno Guimaraes in general last year in Newcastle was just disappointing. I think he's a good player, but just not doing enough. And then Paquetá, once the yellow card thing came out, he's just so. I don't know. The rest of the league was kind of hard to pick a really disappointing player.
Yeah, Paquetá I just expected so much from, and I kind of came to that conclusion more recently, even in the summer. I was like, nah, he got something. West Ham made all those signings, and just he's meant to be the guy that makes that stuff click. But again, it is West Ham, so it's like that's not the style. You need 11 Bowens. You know what I mean? That's West Ham. So.
I mean, if you know ball, that wasn't a shock to you. You know, some people have been knowing that he's just not it. I don't know. Some people.
Yeah. As soon as he was linked to City, you're just like, nope.
No, I just don't rate him. I think that he's. I think he's.
Now. I see.
But this could just be a blimp in form, and I might just be an idiot. There's also 2 things can be true.
They're terrible.
They're on really bad teams. That's just the thing. Yeah. It's when you're on a really bad team and there's no one putting the ball. West Ham can't even create a chance. So.
And then Wan-Bissaka is their best player going forward.
Damn straight he is.
Unreal.
Mila, did you figure out your second or your new guy or?
Yeah,
okay.
I think I did.
Let's hear it.
On paper, he's not even doing that bad, but I think I have higher expectations, so it's Ollie Watkins for me. And I love Morgan Rogers. His game is very appealing to the eye, and I think he's been very hard done by Watkins' lack of clinical finishing.
Goody Bidding effect.
Not a fan?
Not at all. This is what happens.
The what?
This is the good evening effect. They start playing really well and then they fall off. He's a weird manager, man. He's a weird manager.
What do you think about John McGinn? What do you think about John McGinn?
I'm so happy we're on the same thing.
Yeah. What
do I think about John McGinn?
Hey, we fixed it.
Utility player. I don't know. Like he's not great.
about?
Like
we told him what to do, and he did it.
If you were to describe John McGinn with these three things, would you say good footballer, all right footballer, really fucking awful and shouldn't play?
He's probably all right. Like he's not awful.
Okay, we're close
really
to
doesn't
each
like
other.
Yeah.
I fucking hate John McGinn. This is I don't know why. I just stupid face.
I just didn't. We talked about it multiple times. I didn't get why he was playing wide
Yeah,
No.
he's not.
in that team. It doesn't make any
Makes
sense.
no sense.
Centrally, in a 4-2-3-1 setup, that actually makes some fucking sense. The way they set up over the weekend made a lot of sense, and I think they actually fucking got a result out of it for the first time in 9 games. So
We know ball.
Yeah.
But we know we called most of the weekend.
Yeah, we did.
We did call most of the weekend. Or
But yeah,
not weekend, sorry,
Watkins.
midweek.
He's
6
got
sponsors.
Watkins has 7 goals and 3 assists, and I think he's underperforming.
Feels like he's been wasteful.
He's got 7 goals?
Yep.
Really?
Doesn't it seem? It seems really
Depends.
stupid to say that he's underperforming, but
I think
He
it's
is, in
because
my
in those
opinion.
big games he's been so bad that it's been
Ghosting.
alarming.
mhm.
No, not ghosting, like missing chances.
Bad,
I
yeah.
can't remember the games earlier in the year where like maybe it was City, United. I think he did it, and maybe Arsenal.
What?
There were like clear. It was Arsenal, the Raya double save that comes to mind
Yeah.
for me. Like
right.
what you're like, whoa, Watkins missed that. That's not normal. Maybe that's why. But he has 7 goals. Wow. Maybe
Yeah,
I'm
he's
just
definitely
harsh on him.
wasteful. He could have more. He could have
He
more.
could have-
I think we expect more
That's
out
why.
of him because of
It's
his last
situation.
season. But if he
Yeah.
does get those extra goals, they're not really in this rut,
Right.
other than the games that they're getting battered in for formational reasons, like
For Maresca reason.
So yeah, Watkins was mine outside of Eze.
I think Facundo mentioned it was hard picking some guys. You guys mentioned all like the really big names. The name that came to me was Jared Branthwaite.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good shout.
That is a good one.
Because of the price tag. We're talking they were
The
like
hype
give us
behind him.
70-80 million dollars for this dude. And
Okay,
now he
there-
can't play. I know he's been hurt. And there's some grace to him being hurt, but like
The drop off's been significant in form.
watching him play he's not the same player or everyone overevaluated what he was.
I think the Everton defense was overperforming last year as a whole, and it just made them all look better. And they weren't even that good.
What is his evaluation now?
I think
It's
he
hard
was
to say.
80 million
It's
this
super
summer.
hard to say. You haven't
Hard
seen
to say,
it. It
especially
definitely
if they get
drops.
relegated.
Why?
I don't
Yeah,
think
if
they
he
get
gets relegated, he's
I don't
going
think
Sorry,
they
for
get
almost free.
let's say they stay up.
Yeah.
In the summer, teams are going to come calling. I still think
50.
that he's got. You think so?
What'd you say?
60?
50.
50 for a
50?
British player that everyone glorifies? No. You're
I
You
think
think
he's
it's gonna
probably
stay
going
high?
for more.
yeah.
You think it stays high?
At least it probably goes.
There's
like
someone
70,
out there
80.
that will overpay Chelsea for literally anything.
No.
So
No.
yes,
No, we never.
there are teams in this league that will spend money that they have no business spending, and just because of a panic buy. Like
We're bringing Gagey
I-
back. We're not-
I actually think United should still consider him. I think Euro, Delict, Brand White, and then you can have like a Lissandro or whatever you want to do. Could
Good job.
potentially work, but yeah, I think it's a British dude that everyone in this league likes that someone will overpay
I
for.
think it could have been when Palmer megged them. That might have been the beginning of the end for
You
his
guys
form.
need a tracker on how many times he inserts Chelsea into the
I knew you were
conversation.
gonna
This
say
is
it. I knew you were
absurd.
gonna say it. I had to.
For me, he's Maguire 2.0. I think on a bad team. Listen before you go there, because this is the exact same conversation people were having about Maguire before he went to United, which is we've got this physical specimen playing on a bad team, looking really good, who can play vertical balls. But that doesn't mean that he's actually a good ball player. I don't see it. I personally don't see it. I don't think that he's a good ball player. I think he's a good ball progressor. I think he can move it with his feet well. I don't think he's a ball player.
Like under pressure? What do you mean?
No, I just don't think he can play the ball. I don't think he can play the ball.
Passing wise. You think he can dribble with the ball, but he can't.
I think if you put him in a team like City, you put him in a team like Arsenal, right now with the structure of United, you put him in a team like United, I think he looks just like Maguire. And I think it's a glorified, big physical specimen that every English media outlet overhypes. Now to say that he's not a good player, because that's iffy.
We're being critical.
Look, Maguire plays for West Ham, and he's probably he could be a top 10 center back in the league, right? But for a big team playing a progressive style of football, I just don't see it. It's just one of those things I don't see, and I currently think that with the injuries and him trying to go back into a team that's not set up for him to be successful, and Pickford not being at his best anymore, I think that we're seeing what he would look like in a bigger side.
Quick Pickford stray? Is that what that was? Has he been that?
No. That was a testament to how good he was last season.
He was very good last season.
Yeah, he was crazy.
I think
And I still think there's time. He's young, but
he was in shouts for team of the season.
Branthwaite was getting shouts to be like starting in the Euros. Like I was hearing that. I was hearing because obviously we got Colwill and people are talking about no, he's the better left-sided center back, whatever. Like, yeah, it takes time. Like these guys are young, and like you said, like coming back from injury and coming into a struggling team, like that's not easy to do. So you can understand the drop off in performance, but hopefully he picks it back up.
Look, for his career, and I could be just overreacting here because I've seen it. Like I'm just got PTSD worth flashbacks from Maguire and his big fucking slab head. But like I don't know. I just don't see it. I'm just not there.
Is Branthwaite dumb though?
No.
I think Maguire's a little dumb.
No.
I think he is. I think that plays into it.
I don't have the photo. There was a photo I actually wanted to show you guys during the Arsenal thing. Sorry, continue.
It's a little.
There said Maguire's dumb.
There was a video.
I watched Maguire on that fucking corner kick.
That was literally what I was bringing up, with him doing with his arms out like this, and just everyone's running past him. Sorry,
he literally was a non-factor on that.
I hope this shows up on my camera.
So to how much that everyone complained about the pushing, I know we're off topic, but the pushing on the fucking corner kicks, you have to also look at United and what the fuck they were doing defending some of those corner kicks.
Yeah, it was like the
PK. You guys were a little out of it.
You remember PK retired because he let that ball go against Inter? Do you remember that one when he had both of his hands out, like let it go? Oh, that was good.
Did you not see this though? Maguire was in no man's land.
I did.
It's hilarious.
In the middle.
With his arms up. I was literally calling for him to play just because that was the reason, and then he just was standing there like a fucking doofus.
Yeah.
The photo I wanted to show when we were talking about the game was this one. This is fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
there are three dudes looking at fucking Saliba's ass there, and nobody got to the ball except Saliba's butt. Like
Saliba has a
impressive.
history of doing weird things with
but that's kind of what I was saying. Is like you guys, one of them could have done better there to fucking stop that.
Yeah.
Three guys.
Also, to be fair, that was a really weird play. That was a weird play.
I know, but they're like making a wall. Like they're like all together. I don't know. It's just like
I'm shocked we didn't concede against.
Clumped up.
I'm fucking shocked.
I didn't even mention Euro.
Euro's been really good.
Yeah, I didn't even mention whatever. It's okay.
Voiceover it.
It's okay. I'll have plenty of time to talk about him because he's class. So, yeah, not worried about it. Cool. Is that everybody's? Is that everybody's stuff?
Yeah.
Good to call it a night. Good to call it an episode.
Shout out the 18-year-old on
No shit.
That guy had a monster game today. What's his name?
He's such a chill guy.
His name is.
He's such a chill guy.
Hojason.
That kid's good.
He's so chill. He is good.
Hodgson, if I had to. Oh, he's Spanish. What? Yeah, I got nothing.
Alrighty.
All right, cool.
From Clash of Clubs, thank you, Facunda, for coming on and indulging in an hour 40 long podcast.
Do it again.
From our
Next time also.
from our group, Vamos Galaxy, MLS Cup, hopefully champions this weekend. This is episode 17, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Two words for him. Different gravy. Glorious goal! Wreathed in red. We're really seeing the most extraordinary finish here. On this day of days, has he delivered? Just magnificent! Potentially life-changing! That's football. Minute you let it under your skin, then you begin to make it better.